How good is Jude Bellingham? So in this video I will first analyse the type of player Bellingham is, looking at his style of play and the stats that show how good he is, before at the end I identify 3 teams that best suit Bellingham, and then I'll rank them in order of who suits him best. I've also written another video on Football Factors channel. It will be looking at some other central midfield wonderkids, discussing how good they are and if they are better than Jude Bellingham. That video will be linked below, so make sure you check that out after this video. But before that, for cheap good quality football jerseys, retro jerseys and tracksuits, go over to www.jerseyfever.com, a link will be left in the description, and use code ATLANTISFOOTBALL to get 5% off. So Jude Bellingham turned 18 in June and has already played a full season in the Bundesliga with Borussia Dortmund and a season in the Championship with Birmingham. He signed for around £20 million last summer and has a contract at Dortmund until 2025, meaning that if he were to move next summer, he'd likely command a fee well in excess of £50 million. But how good is Bellingham actually? Well, I think Bellingham is a unique type of player. Most central midfielders either fall into the category of a creator like Toni Kroos or Paul Pogba, or a destroyer like Kante or Ndidi. Bellingham is a blend of the two. He's a very good technical player, having the ability to glide past players in the centre of the field, using his quick feet and close ball control, which enables him to shift the ball quickly from one foot to the other and then drive forward past the opposition player. But he also has the tenacity and tackling ability that enables him to play a deeper midfield role in a double pivot as well. But Bellingham isn't a creator in the sense of a Pogba or a Toni Kroos. He doesn't have the long range passing in these games just yet to open up defences from deep positions. Instead, Bellingham is a very good progresser of the ball, able to move the ball forward into the middle or final third, using his tight ball control and dribbling, along with his one-touch passing, which enables him to link with his teammates extremely well. In this sense, he's very similar to Jack Wilshere about a decade ago, and both players had these qualities that we saw in Andres Iniesta, which was the ability to carry the ball through the centre of the field. In terms of a role, it's hard to fully pin Bellingham down. He certainly is capable of playing as a box-to-box midfielder, but I'd describe him as a roaming playmaker who seems to have a great impact in the attack from the middle to the final third, and once in the final third he has the same goal scoring instincts of a player like Ilkay Gundogan, seemingly knowing the right run to make and how to time it to get into goal scoring positions. His goal against Besiktas in the Champions League was a great example. Dortmund have the ball in the middle third, and rather than being positioned in a deeper midfield role in front of the Besiktas midfield line, we can see that Bellingham is behind the midfield between the lines. When the long pass is played out to Meunier in the advanced position on the right flank, Bellingham recognises the space opening up between the left back and the centre back as the left back moves out to close down the ball, and he's run his time perfectly, and so is Meunier's pass into him, and once in the shooting position, Bellingham has a control and technique to volley the ball past the keeper into the net. We also saw against Manchester City last season that he's a very shrewd shooter around the box, getting the ball out of his feet quickly using his ball control and then curling the finish into the top corner, which was elite. Already this season, Bellingham has scored 1 goal in the Bundesliga and 1 in the Champions League, and according to Who Scored's ratings, he's been the player of the match in at least one of those Bundesliga games, as well as in the Champions League game against Besiktas, which shows just how impactful Bellingham is at such a young age. If we look at Bellingham's FBref report over the last 365 days, we can see where he excels. When compared to every other midfielder in Europe's top 5 leagues, he ranks in the 90th percentile or higher for non-penalty XG, non-penalty XG plus expected assists, total shots, dribbles, touches in the penalty area, progressive passes received and pressures, whilst also ranking in the 80th percentile or higher for expected assists, non-penalty goals, pressures and tackles, which shows that Bellingham is not just an attacking threat but also contributes out of possession as well. This is why I think Bellingham can be such a valuable player, as he offers an alternative goal scoring threat from deeper positions, which makes it incredibly hard for the opposition team to stop as often as their midfielders aren't closely following runners from deep, and this is why Bellingham is able to make runs into space, because he is less likely to be tracked than a centre forward or an attacker who sits higher up the pitch. Bellingham certainly doesn't play like an 18-year-old. His off the ball movement, composure and physicality aren't usual in teenage players and usually have to be developed in their early 20s, but Bellingham in his teenage years already has these attributes, as did players like Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, CAMAVINGA and Jadon Sancho, which is why I believe Bellingham is in the elite bracket of young players. But what system and role suits Bellingham best? Well, before I get into that, remember to subscribe and click the bell if you haven't already, and go to the description to check out part 2 of this video. It will be on Football Factors channel, and it will be looking at other wonderkid central midfielders that may or may not be better than Jude Bellingham. And I've also linked some of my other videos that I think you might enjoy, such as my Manchester United analysis videos, my video talking about Harry Kane's career, and my video on the unknown story behind David Beckham's 2003 Real Madrid transfer, and give me some future video suggestions in the comment section below as well. So I think Bellingham has to play alongside a deeper lying, more industrious central midfielder. You don't want him sitting deep in possession, you want him pushing up and making those late runs into the box. He can play in a midfield too, as he does for Dortmund, but he could also play in a midfield 3 as one of the 2 players ahead of a deep single pivot, and in this system he'd probably be given more freedom to roam into deeper positions to progress the ball forward when it's in the middle third, but then have the freedom to then join the attack in the final third. Bellingham's style and ability is such that he has to be on the radar of the biggest clubs in Europe, and given his age and the position he plays, every super club in Europe should be keeping tabs on him. But if I was playing transfer matchmaker, which are the clubs that I think would suit Bellingham best? I'll discuss 3 teams before ranking each of them in order of who need him most and who suits him best. Well, the first club I would suggest would be Manchester City. Firstly, they would definitely be able to afford the likely £60 million plus that Bellingham would cost, and he would be able to play the same role as we see Gundogan play. We have seen Pep use more advanced playmakers like De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva ahead of a single pivot like Rodri or Fernandinho over the past few years, and Bellingham would be the perfect player for this sort of false 8 role. He is a much better defensive player than either De Bruyne or Silva, having tackling ability, tenacity and physicality that they lack, whilst also having the ball carrying ability that City currently lack from a central midfielder. Rodri and Gundogan are excellent passers of the ball, but if you put Jude Bellingham into that midfield, City now have a player who can bypass the opposition's press and midfield line with their dribbling ability, which should enable City to transition their attacks quicker and stop the opposition being able to drop deep into a compact defensive unit as easily. He would also suit what City look for in terms of being a young, technically gifted and versatile player, so I think from a City point of view this is a no-brainer. The second club I would suggest for Bellingham is Liverpool. Now Klopp does use his central midfielders in a slightly different way to Guardiola. See, Guardiola's central midfielders tend to sit higher up the pitch, with the fullbacks inverting and taking up these deep positions in midfield and providing the defensive security, whereas Klopp's 4-3-3, we often see the fullbacks push further forward and it's the wide central midfielders who sit in these deep areas and are in charge of progressing the ball into the final third. Now Bellingham would add greater ball carrying ability to Liverpool's midfield, as even though Keita can provide this dribbling ability, Henderson is much more of a passer, as is Thiago. However, we do often see the wide central midfielders push up between the lines, especially Henderson on the right side, when Alexander-Arnold retains a deeper position, and this role would suit Bellingham perfectly as he is far better in the final third than Henderson is, and would provide an alternative goal scoring threat to Liverpool's front 3, and with Klopp using a false 9 in either Jota or Firmino, Bellingham is going to have the space to move into when the centre backs get dragged out of the back line, so this could be the perfect blend of a role for Bellingham. The third team that I think would suit Bellingham would be Manchester United. Solskjaer's side are stacked in the forward line and in the attacking midfield positions, but in central midfield they lack a ball winner who can break up counter-attacks and a creative player who can open up compact defensive systems. Bellingham wouldn't be that destructive ball winner, but he would certainly bring the creativity that United need. Fred, McTominay, Matic and even Pogba rarely ever bypass a player in the centre of the field with the ball at their feet, and none of them, apart from Pogba, but not in a double pivot, have the forward running ability to get into the box and get into goal scoring positions. If I was United, I would be looking to sign a ball winner like either Ndidi or Declan Rice, and a player like Jude Bellingham who can play in a midfield double pivot and be a competent defensive player, but also add the creativity that United currently lack. Out of the 3, I think Manchester City need Bellingham most, with Liverpool in second and Manchester United in third, but even clubs like PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich and Chelsea should all be trying to snap Bellingham up, as even at £60 million I think this is a great deal for a player who is already a top level central midfielder and could move into the elite bracket within the next few seasons. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, remember to subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications, give the video a like, go to the description to check out part 2 which will be on Football Factor's channel, and I have left some of my other videos that I think you may enjoy linked in the description as well, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more content.